When you're faced with a view like this, on a spectacular day like today, you could be forgiven for getting a bit snap happy, firing off shot after shot without really thinking about what it is that you're photographing. The downside to this is often getting your photographs back on the computer at home and thinking that you haven't really done the landscape any justice. Today I'm exploring the beautiful Addingham moorside, and along the way I'll be giving you hints and tips about one of the things that I think is most overlooked in photography but is vitally important: focal points and subject selection. So, why is it that when we make a photograph of a wide open landscape, it often comes back looking a bit flat and uninspiring? Well, as I mentioned in my video about composition techniques, when we take a photograph, we're turning this 360-degree three-dimensional view into a flat two-dimensional rectangular photograph. So we need something that grabs our interest and reapplies an illusion of depth to the photograph. Behind me at the top of the path here are what are known as the doubler stones. I'm going to take you up there now and show you a few examples of how, by just adding a good subject, a key focal point to your photograph, you can turn your bland looking landscapes into something absolutely fantastic. A focal point can be absolutely anything, but the one thing that it's got to do is stand out and grab people's attention. At the end of the day, you want your focal point to be able to keep people's attention on your photograph, rather than thinking, well, what am I meant to be looking at here, and soon wandering away because they're just not interested. One of the ways in which we can make our focal points stand out within our photographs is the way that we position them within the frame. With this shot behind me here, I've got the rock placed on the left-hand side of the photograph. This opens out the background beyond. People's eye are led to that rock first because it's prominent and it stands out within the frame. Then their eyes are led by the path that takes them towards the centre of the frame and the landscape beyond. So not only does this focal point, i.e. the rock, add a subject of interest, it also gives that illusion of depth, drawing people's eye from the foreground via the midground all the way to the background beyond. Another useful tip when it comes to choosing focal points within landscape photographs is to try and isolate that focal point so it breaks the horizon line, i.e. stands above the point where the land meets the sky. That way you're also adding a bit more depth, and it's also emphasising the scale and importance of that focal point within your photograph. You may come across some situations in bleak landscapes just like this one, where focal points are really hard to come by, but there's always something there to photograph. My tip in these situations is to use vanishing points. Vanishing points are places in photographs where the eye is led to, but it can't get any further, and that creates a sense of intrigue. Behind me is a gap in the wall, and I'm going to get down quite low and emphasise the line of this track, so that draws your eye to the style. But then I'm going to isolate that style with the sky behind it, so people are going to be intrigued when they look at the photograph to what's beyond. It isn't a focal point, but it definitely gives people something to think about and to mull over when they look at the photograph, therefore keeping their attention. If all else fails, you can look for little gaps in the landscape that you can shoot through. This little V-shaped valley behind me here works as a good example of this. We've got the straight line of the path leading you towards the lovely landscape beyond. And the banks at either side not only provide a bit of foreground interest, they also help you to channel your eye in that direction. For shots like this, I would ignore the rule of thirds because it doesn't work for all landscape photographs. With all these lovely lines leading towards the centre of the shot, we need that to act as a vortex to draw people's eye. Putting the landscape or the valley on the left or the right would be detrimental because it would lead people out of the photograph rather than what we would like them to look at. It's not a focal point, it's not even a vanishing point, but it does work rather well. A good focal point will always provide context to a photograph. It will fit in some way. When people look at your photograph, they'll look at the focal point and think, yes, that really fits with that photograph and kicks it off really nicely. This cairn here is quite a key feature of this area of moorland. I've seen them all dotted here, there and everywhere as I've been walking along. Not only does it create a really nice focal point, it also tells a story of where I'm photographing today. So when it comes to selecting subjects for your photographs, make sure that you choose something that not only stands out, but also provides a bit of information to the people looking at your photograph about the wonderful surroundings in which it's placed. So next time you get tempted by a landscape as beautiful as this, remember, try not to get too snap happy, as tempting as that may be. Look out for a subject that provides context to the landscape that you're photographing. Use it as a clear focal point to not only grab people's interest, but also to provide depth to the shot as well. If you can't find a clear focal point, then try out a vanishing point, which can often work just as well. In a moment I'm going to leave you with some of the photographs that I've taken today, but before I do, if Yorkshire Photo Walks is the focal point of your learning in photography, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. If you'd like to learn photography practically on walks through inspirational Yorkshire locations just like this one here at Addingham Moorside, then check out yorkshirephotowalks.com for our latest photo walk schedule. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram for all of our latest news and photo walk photographs. Thank you very much for watching today. I look forward to seeing you again very soon.